So today I want to talk about something a little different. I have this MacBook Air here from 2013. It's over 10 years old at this point. It's been sitting around for a while, mostly unused, and instead of letting it collect more dust, I decided to install CachyOS on it with Niri as the desktop. For those who don't know, CachyOS is a performance-focused Linux distribution based on Arch Linux, and Niri is a scrollable tiling window manager, which basically means windows are arranged in columns that you scroll through horizontally instead of the usual desktop layout you are used to. Now here's the thing, I wasn't expecting much from this old hardware, but what I got was actually surprising in a good way. The interface looked clean, it felt fast, and honestly better looking than a lot of modern setups I've ever used. But I also ran into a few real problems along the way. Wi-Fi that wouldn't behave, a webcam that just refused to work, a keyboard backlight that had a mind of its own. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the whole experience, the installation, what the interface actually looks and feels like, the customizations I made, the problem I faced with old Mac hardware and how I fixed them, and finally whether it is actually something you could use every day. And before we get started, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, it really helps the channel grow. Alright, let's get into it. Starting with the installation, CachyOS uses a graphical installer, so you are not stuck typing everything into a terminal. You get to choose your bootloader, choose Niri as your desktop environment, and pick any extra packages you want included right from the start. But when I booted from the live session to begin the install, I ran into my first issue. There was no Wi-Fi. The live environment just couldn't see any networks around it. So I had to tether internet from my phone using a USB cable just to get the installation process. A bit annoying but manageable, and funny enough, once CachyOS was actually installed, Wi-Fi started working fine on its own because the correct drivers got installed along with the system. Now let's talk about the interface, because this is where things got exciting for me. Windows have soft rounded corners and everything tiles neatly into place since this is a tiling window manager at its core. There's a panel at the top and a dock at the bottom that stays hidden until you hover near it, which keeps things clean and out of the way. The real highlight for me was the control center. It has the toggles for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, a wallpaper selector, a performance mode that turns off animations for extra speed, light and dark mode switching, notifications, power profiles, a keep awake option, night light, audio input and output controls, a brightness slider, and even a small weather widget. Everything you normally dig through settings menus for is just right there. There's also an app launcher and it's genuinely elegant. You can open it with the keyboard shortcut, and the apps are neatly sorted into categories like audio, chat, development, graphics and network. It just feels organized. One small detail I really liked: whenever you play music or a video, there's a little media widget with a nice rounded progress bar in the panel. It's a small touch, but it makes the whole experience feel polished. And touchpad gestures actually work well too. A 3-finger swipe left or right to switch between apps, and swiping up and down moves between workspaces. On a trackpad this old, I wasn't expecting that to just work, but it did. Now let's move on to customization, because this is where I spent a good amount of time. Inside the control center settings, you can adjust font sizes, remap key bindings, change interface scaling, corner radius, animation speed, drop shadows, and even blur behind windows and panels. The panel and dock both have their own separate settings too, for position, opacity, and behavior. You can also choose different color schemes and set your own wallpaper folder. But I didn't stop at the settings menu. I went into actual configuration files and made some changes myself. I edited the key binding files and set up my own shortcuts. Super plus space opens the app launcher. Super plus W opens the Windows overview. Super plus M maximizes a column. And Super plus B launches Chrome directly. I also went into the layout file and reduced the gaps between the windows since the default spacing felt a bit too wide for a 13-inch screen. Something small but satisfying, I moved the window control buttons so the close button sits on the left side, giving it a more familiar macOS style layout since well it's still a Mac underneath everything. I installed a tool called WN Sunset to get proper nightlight support working. And I set it up so that closing the lid immediately locks the session. I added that using a switch events configuration so the moment the lid closes, it locks and you need to enter your password again when you open it back up. Now here's the part where things got a bit more technical because running Linux on old Apple hardware means dealing with some very Apple specific components and Linux doesn't always know what to do with them right away. The first big issue was Wi-Fi. It would connect but downloads would randomly freeze halfway through. After some digging, I found out the generic Wi-Fi driver wasn't just playing well with this particular Broadcom chip over time. The fix was installing the proprietary Broadcom driver built specifically against the CachyOS kernel. I also had to blacklist a bunch of conflicting open source drivers so they won't interfere with the proprietary one. And on top of that, I disabled Wi-Fi power saving completely since the adapter dropping into low power mode was likely a big part of why those downloads kept freezing. The second issue was the webcam. The built-in FaceTime SD camera simply didn't work out of the box. There was no driver for it. I had to find a driver on GitHub built specifically for this Broadcom based camera and get it installed manually. The third issue was the keyboard backlight. The function keys for adjusting brightness do absolutely nothing, but the backlight itself does work, just not through those keys. I can control it directly from terminal by writing values to a specific system file, full brightness or completely off or anything between them. Not the most convenient solution, but it works and it became a kind of fun terminal trick to show off. And just for the finishing touch, I installed Capuchin Mocha theme for the login screen. So even before you reach the desktop, it already looks intentional and modern. Now let's talk about getting this set up for actual daily use. One thing that genuinely impressed me was how clean the app installation experience is. There are actually two different software centers available. There's the default one which is minimal and only has the essentials, perfect for casual, simple use. And then there's the second most larger option of PAMAC based software center that connects to a massive repository including the AUR and Flatpak. So if the first one doesn't have what you need, the second one almost certainly does. And this second one, this package manager is called Cachy, a fully GUI package manager for CachyOS. Through that I installed everything I actually use day to day. Google Chrome for browsing, VLC for media playback, Events for PDFs, Loop for viewing images. I also installed a package called LeapFuse 2 specifically to get app image support working, which let me run Joplin, my note-taking app, as a portable app image without any issues. And since I move files between this laptop and my Android phone often, so I installed ZVFS MTP, which gives proper file transfer support when I plug my phone in. Now the part everyone is probably curious about: how does hardware this old actually perform running all of this? Boot time is under 20 seconds from a cold boot all the way to the desktop. That's generally impressive for a laptop this age. Idle memory usage sits below 1 GB, which leaves a good amount of room for actually getting work done. And it's not just good numbers on paper, it generally feels fast switching between apps, opening launcher, scrolling through tiled windows. There's no lag, no stutter, none of that old hesitations you'd expect. Under the hood, this is running on the CachyOS optimized kernel, which is built with performance tweaks specifically aimed at responsiveness, and that plays a big role in why an old processor like this still feels snappy. Package management runs through Pacman since CachyOS is based on Arch Linux. And I'm using Fish as my shell for cleaner terminal experience day to day, and Niri sits on top of all of this as the actual window manager, handling that scrollable column-based layout with Noctilia providing the overall shell experience around it. So basically a modern, well-optimized software stack running on more than a decade-old hardware, and somehow it just works. So coming to the final verdict, is a 10 plus years old MacBook Air running CachyOS with Niri actually usable today? Yes, completely. This isn't just a cool tech demo that falls apart the moment you try to use it for real work. This is something I could genuinely use every single day. It's fast, it boots quickly, it's light on memory, and visually it's one of the most polished looking desktop I've used, regardless of how the old hardware underneath is. That said, I want to be honest with you, it's not a fully plug and play experience. You will run into some hardware specific issues along the way. The Wi-Fi needs a proper driver and some tweaking. The webcam needs a driver pulled from GitHub. The keyboard backlight needs a manual workaround instead of using the function keys. None of these are deal breakers, but they are real, and you should be ready to spend a little time troubleshooting if you go down this path. If you have got an old MacBook sitting around doing nothing, I would say absolutely worth trying this out. Just go in expecting a bit of hands-on work alongside a genuinely fast and good looking result are at the end of it. If you enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one of them. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more Linux tips and tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.